co-founder at Logictry, and I'm just happy to have everyone here today. I think the biggest and most important thing for today is the people that are in this room. Chelsea has worked very hard to curate this day, to get this venue, to get just the most high-quality people in this room that care about change, that care about impact, profit for purpose, that we want to see a better world, not just the profit motive, but seeing that we can make a profit and drive better social good and impact in the world. So, got an exciting lineup today, and of course, we're going to try to make this as fun as possible. We are talking about logic, so we can only make that as so fun, right? So I was thinking about what quote I wanted to start with, and thank you to Jacqueline, who should be here somewhere. She recently got us a Forbes interview with Joe Pardavila, who was nice enough to let us tell a little bit of our story. And one of the things that he started with was the quote, "Logic is the beginning of wisdom, not the end." So a nice little Spock reference. So I thought I would begin with that because the theme there being sharing wisdom, right? So how do we share with so much abundance of information in the world, abundance of misinformation and political divide and other things that we see, how do we focus on sharing, wisdom in a more effective way? So I want to give a little bit of background to who I am and how we ended up getting here today. So what was a little bit of the backstory? So I've been a programmer for about 15 years, and I've built software for Apple, Pfizer, NASA. I've built mobile apps, blockchain dApps, been involved in launching a cryptocurrency. I've been involved in just a variety of different things. And in August of 2018, I was looking for, working on technology is fun, but I wanted something that was, something a little bit more meaningful besides just creating software. That's something that had a little bit more of a purpose behind it. So one of the things I started researching was the formal logic. So I found online this course taught by Marion Talbot. She's a professor, or was a professor at Oxford, that teaches the principles of formal logic. So what this talks about is looking at how you apply deductive, inductive, abductive reasoning, how we structure argument, how we debate, and really what is the basis for a lot of science that we have today. So in August of 2018, started researching that, became a bit more interested through late 2018, didn't have an idea of what it meant, just interested in the topic. And then in January of 2019, a circumstance of events happened. Someone on Slack was asking me questions. And I realized they were asking me these questions because they were trying to make a decision. And something about the medium and the way they were asking questions with no traceability, transparency into this process, something just stood out in that moment. And on January 14th of 2019, ended up starting Logictry and began the journey on that exact day. So the very first coincidence that was interesting is the UN launched World Logic Day on the exact same day, and I actually had no idea that this had taken place. So they launched World Logic Day also as a part of the CIPSH, so Center of Philosophy, and talking about the importance of logic as the investigation on the principles of reasoning and how it's played an important role in the development of philosophy and the sciences. So set out, and like many new ideas, everything starts on a hypothesis, and then it starts to look crazy, and you go into different directions and test different things, and it doesn't look like a straight line, but started under the same exact premise that logic and this initiative, similar to what the UN had created, is what we stood for. So fast forwarding a little bit to today, and we actually have one more coincidence for this day. So we were supposed to have this on the 14th, and we ended up having to move this up to the 12th. And today is actually the National Youth Day. So National Youth Day, this is in India. This is the first of the year on January 12th. And the official International Youth Day is on August 12th. So bringing this up because a lot of what we're focused on in this, in some of the things that I'm going to show in a second here, is focused on, and in similarity with the UN, right? We're talking about the future of the world, the future of the planet, right? We're talking about the Sustainable Development Goals and how we make change. And that change happens also through democracy and through decisions and through, all of the decisions that people running companies and voting, all of that matters. And so the amount that people are informed, this is what amounts up to that amount of change. So one of the questions that I get asked quite a bit is, what is logic? And I said, kind of the formal logic piece, right, which there's a lot, to that. But I think one of the easiest ways to explain it is logic is not telling people what to think, but rather teaching people how to think, or understanding why people believe what they believe, which might be different from what you believe, but maybe they have a very rational or logical reason behind that. So another way that I want to describe this is actually just through a example of this, so through a little bit of a demo. Let me... So this right here, oops. So this right here is a look at, now switching, this is what we're working on. So what we're excited to talk a little bit about today, that is our form of showing what we think of as logic. So we've created logic.wiki. So think Wikipedia, but interactive, actionable content that teaches you how to think, not telling you, what to think. And thinking about a platform like this and thinking about the youth and the next generation and how we, can create this world that's better than we have it today, a part of that is a lot of people here are in funds, or you're successful entrepreneurs, or you just have had the experience to know a lot of the things needed to start a company. You've had that experience. But thinking back to the mindset of the next generation, the new entrepreneurs, the new leaders of tomorrow, one of the things that, if you imagine someone that is just starting out, about to create a new startup, and they have not done this before, one of the biggest challenges is not knowing what you don't know, right? So there's what you do know, there's what you don't know, so you can go learn it, and then there's the other part, which is, I had no idea, I needed to know that, and that can be a major difference in someone's success, and a lot of wasted time and energy. So I want to show, one example of this is we've been creating this startup collection, this startup guide, that essentially says everything you need to know while starting a company. We've been making all these different guides that are going to walk you through all the decisions that you'll have to navigate along the way. And so if you think about, the very first decision being, what legal entity should I form? And if you think about a lot of the internet is blog posts telling you, consider this, consider that, right? Well, if we instead focus on how do we turn that into a simple, entity decision tool, which says, here are your options. You've got 5 of them. And actually Chelsea won't let me, she won't rest until there's B Corp on here, but that's another story. But what this highlights is taking a stance of showing the options, and then great, now you know what you have to choose from, but then how are you going to make that choice? So how are you going to walk through questions similar to if you were talking to an expert on that topic, right? They wouldn't just tell you the answer. They'd ask you a lot of questions. They would want to know more about what you are doing before they make that personalized recommendation. So this is one example. We've been building out quite a bit of these other examples, everything from you'll need to consider paid ads, but you'll have to think about the profitability of that. You'll have to take on investors for equity. So we've done things like looking at the Y Combinator safe documents and how do you just make a quick, easy way that people can navigate picking from the different options, and then ultimately it generates the nice legal document all filled out to their specific needs. And we've done that same thing with some of the fast and ease. So with the Founder Institute, so they have their fast agreement for taking on advisors for equity. They've just recently released an ease agreement for taking on contractors for equity, an option pool calculator that Carta just recently shared out. So there's a lot of these resources that, putting all this together into a guide, and we've got a lot more to come with everything all the way to IPO readiness, right? So everything from the startup founder's journey all the way to, if they're successful, as much wisdom as we can impart on that particular person. So a little bit of a look at our future plans beyond that is we are announcing we're launching collections. So the startup collection was the first one, but we will be building out guides for college and for cybersecurity and high school and everything all the way to parenthood. So thinking about even a new mother that, you can imagine the amount of decisions that a new mom has to make and how complicated and how worrisome that can be. So what if we start building out some of the things that makes that as easy, worry-free for new mothers as possible? So that is a little bit of a look at what we're doing. Let me switch back. One second. Presenter. Okay, so kind of to summarize, on our end, just a little bit about us, just to wrap that up. Our mission is to empower others to make better decisions, and our vision is to ultimately make logic accessible for everyone. We've done that just at a very high level. We have a business software application we sell to businesses, helping them scale institutional knowledge. We frame it as build your company's brain. We have the Logic Wiki, where we're building this brain out for the world. So think, the wiki of logic. And then ultimately what we're here today for is World Logic Day, so uniting the world's brain. So getting the best thought leaders together, having that this experience for us all to share our knowledge, share our wisdom, meet one another, and then see what happens from that. So another thing I want to touch on is a little bit about what we'll discuss later today, and that has to do a lot with the state of the internet today as we know it. So we've had amazing technology. We've got Google that has indexed the world's information. We've got Wikipedia that has crowdsourced some amazing curated knowledge. Social media platforms that have driven connectedness and communication between people globally. It's been an incredible thing. But one of the things that, and we'll be talking later today about this, the internet has democratized knowledge, which has given rise to the illusion of democratized expertise. So this is a quote from Dr. Art Markman that he and I will be doing a fireside chat at 4:15 to discuss a bit more about why he said this. And his background we'll get into, but he's a cognitive scientist and amazing vice provost of continuing education at UT. So when we look at where the internet is going, we have OpenAI and their competitors have raised billions to train computers to generate artificial intelligence. Deepfake and content generation tech pioneering new forms of images, videos, and text. So I think as everybody's seen ChatGPT and all that launch, And then, you know, the chat GPT coming online now, who's writing the content? Just an AI is writing it, right? And there's a business model where, hey, you don't have to write anything anymore. An AI will write all of your blog posts, and so now it's no longer a person's voice, it's just an AI pretending as if, you know, this is your own expert opinion. And then companies like Facebook are now trying to counter that with these new algorithms to detect misinformation and decide truth, you know, for us. So there's a question of what about human agency, right? So we've got this rise of misinformation, and we've got the counteract with algorithms to tell us what is or isn't. But as I think we all know, a lot of the real solution always begins with education. So I want to play a quick video that called Debunking the AI Lie.
You might ask whether it's making an engineering contribution.
This is about ChatGPT.
Actually, in this case, I don't really see any. I don't see what point there is to GPT, except maybe helping some student fake an exam or something. But so it doesn't seem, it has no scientific contribution, doesn't seem to have any engineering contribution. So as far as I can see, it's basically a way of wasting a lot of the energy in California.
Right.
And inspiring.
That's a good point. I want to bring Gary in. What do you think the dangers are here? I mean, if it's, you know, these are tools that are in some ways useful, is there a danger, though, in thinking that they're more capable than they are? Is there a danger in the hype? Gary, what do you have to say about that?
I think there's two kinds of dangers. One kind of danger here is that I think we're following the wrong path in AI, and the right path to AI, I think, is going to involve looking more at humans and doing the science that Noam is talking about. And so we're in this moment where we're at a local maximum. We have something that looks good, but isn't really as deep as we need it. And it's sucking the oxygen away from the field of cognitive science, looking at how humans understand language, how humans understand the world. Because it's so much fun to play with these toys, and it's fine for people to play with the toys, but it takes away a lot of the energy. You know, young graduate students, if they have a choice between going into linguistics or a choice between working on GPT-3 and getting paid a lot of money, they're probably going to work on GPT-3. But I think it's short-sighted that we wind up with a technology that actually has a kind of short road ahead, isn't going to last as long as people think. And you look at the history of AI, there have been fads over and over again, expert systems and support vector machines that people in this crowd probably haven't even heard of, that were super popular for a while. And we need to have something that's more stable, and one more fad's probably not helping us. Then there's another kind of danger, which is the systems we have now, what they do is they perpetuate past data. They don't really understand the world. So for example, that means that they're sexist and they're racist. They're not built to be that way, but because they just copy the data that's there and don't have values about equality, for example, they perpetuate past bias. Another example is because they don't have models of the world, they kind of lie indiscriminately. Now they don't do that literally because they have no intention, there's no malice, but they produce misinformation, and it's going to completely change the world in the next couple of years. The amount of misinformation that troll farms are going to be able to produce, and the cost of that is really, I think, going to be devastating to the democratic process. And so the fact that you have a system that kind of looks good, can make sentences that are grammatical, but make up stuff like, why is it good to eat socks after meditating? And then say some experts believe that it's good to eat socks after meditating because such and such. It all sounds plausible. You read it on a website when you're like falling asleep and you believe it. Well, now you can do this at scale. You can get your own custom version of GPT-3 for less than $500,000. So if you're a troll farm, that's a great investment, but it's terrible for society.
So, yeah, wanted to share that, you know, as he said, that's a great investment, so certainly a profitable endeavor, but terrible for society, right? So looking at, again, going back to that profit with purpose. So let me go back to there we go. So yeah, wanted to share that, and you know, again, that's what we're here talking about today. We're talking about where the state of artificial intelligence is, this rise of misinformation, and how we can do our part in countering that, and how we discuss the importance of logic in education, which is the UN's initiative behind World Logic Day, and how we can be a part in helping that. I'm going to end with that on what we're doing. We have an exciting day ahead of us. We're going to have amazing speakers that are all going to talk about what they're doing in alignment with the UN, why World Logic Day mattered to them. I do want to say just a quick thank you to the entire team. So I want to thank Chelsea first and foremost for putting all of this together. She did an incredible job of getting everyone here. I want to thank Alex back there, some team members, Ethan, all of our advisors, Nathan Taha, and just everyone that's helped to make this possible, and also all of our sponsors. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chelsea.